Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, and with me, one of the biggest names in Indian advertising, Rohit Ohri, the Chairman and CEO of FCB Group India. Welcome to the show and to the lounge of the India Today Group here at the Goafest. A big gathering once again of this entire fraternity. 3 years back, when the world changed with COVID, we didn't know what was going to happen. Tell our viewers about how is the advertising landscape looking like to you at this point of time?
So, thank you for having me. Real privilege to be here and speak to you. The thing is that one of the big things that I've seen, with the 2 years that we had in COVID, where largely work from home, and then coming back to work, now we are all 5 days a week in office, I think has been a big shift. A lot of people have found it difficult coming back to work, which is working out of office. But to my mind, I think the fundamental problem that happened because we were working out of home was that the talent was becoming very task oriented, right? So it was about, on Teams, everybody is listening to somebody and you basically say, will everybody else go on mute? And that then kind of prevents people from brainstorming, coming up with ideas because, you don't want to interrupt, in a
You're
creative...
probably doing multitasking.
That's right. Yeah. And the thing is that, in a creative business, fundamentally the most important thing is the working of the group together. You bring people from different disciplines, different capabilities, different talents, different mindsets, and bring them together around one client problem, and then what you get out of that is a richer, more diverse solution. And that solution is not about just the here and now, that this is the task I'm given to do, I will do this task and move forward, where you become like a supplier to a client. Versus when you really think about the brand as the brand almost is yours, that you think about what is the future, where is the brand going, what are the challenges that will happen, and then you shift your relationship from being a supplier to a partner. And that, I think, was the big issue in this whole thing of COVID and coming back to work. And I think it's really important to have people especially in a creative business, back in office, multidisciplinary thinking around a client problem.
Since you're talking about people and working together and having that human interaction, the big buzzword right now is artificial intelligence. Will AI ever take over the role of creativity?
So, that was a big part of the discussion at Goafest, right? So that was a panel I was moderating really about the future of creativity, right? And quite honestly, this is early days, right? We are seeing just about the tip of the iceberg. And right now, everybody is saying that yes, AI is definitely there. It's a tool in the hands of the creative people to increase their productivity. It's not replacing creative people. It's not replacing creativity. It's making creativity more efficient and faster, and you're able to experiment and fail faster also. So in a creative process, very often you kind of make something, you scribble something, or you get somebody to do the layout, you use different tools and then you see, oh, this is not working. Okay, now let's try something else. This process of actually putting something down and then cancelling it has become faster. So you can arrive at what your imagination is actually thinking about faster. And that, I think, is a brilliant enabling tool. So AI will never replace human beings, right? Because finally, it's a prompt, right? Who's giving the prompt, right? So you are giving the prompt, right? And it's a lot of, we were talking to Microsoft as well, and they were saying this whole new science of prompt engineering, right? So that understanding what to ask, how to ask, and, how to construct that question really to get that output that you want, and then deciding whether this is the right output or not, because the machine will give you the output. Then it is upon that creative mind to say this output is right for the brand, or this output is right for the problem that I'm trying to solve, or it's not. That choice and that decision is made by us, right? So made by humans.
What's the mandate to your colleagues and within your organization when it comes to using this tool that you just described?
So, my whole thing is that it is absolutely something that everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to use. The thing is, we live in a world of constantly changing technology. And the only way to survive in this is to be open, absorb what is happening, choose what you want to take and take that forward. It is absolutely unacceptable in my head that people say, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to ChatGPT or DALI or Midjourney because, it's a bastardization of the creative process. It's not, right? So we cannot prejudge this. I think the important thing is that we need to absorb, take what is the best parts of it and improve on our journey. So constant learning and constantly being open to these new influences and changes is the only way to survive.
Are there any ethical concerns around the use of what could be called fake or sort of artificially constructed imagery? We have seen various instances of a wrongdoing. For example, a picture that led to a very significant stock market crash. But within the creative process, do you think some ethical boundaries or some guidelines, regulations will be required?
Yeah, so, the interesting part is in that conversation that we were having with Microsoft, one of the things that we were told that, ChatGPT has been released in a beta version, right? This is a constantly evolving and improving place. And quite honestly, there is a big issue here when it comes to copywriting, because Midjourney or a DALI is basically taking images that are already created in the world and reconstructing them.
It's a simulation of multiple pixels,
yeah,
from multiple sources.
Yeah, so tomorrow can you use Amitabh Bachchan image and say that I want Amitabh Bachchan on Mars having a soft drink, right? Whatever the soft drink is. So is that possible to use and create and is that now original because it has been thought of somebody in this original manner? Is that right? Is that possible to do? Those are the big questions that need to be answered. And I think that's the journey that is, and what I understand is that there will be a watermarking of these images and then watermarking. But, this is changing and evolving so rapidly that every day is, new discovery and a new challenge. And that's the way it is going to be.
Absolutely. And every day is a new challenge. And imagine we are still grappling with how to deal with Photoshop effects. But Rohit, I want to turn the conversation towards the latest trends. Would you agree if I say that it's not digital? We are now in a post-digital world where digital has been taken for granted. It's embedded in our life in many, many ways. And that change, transformation that has played out and will continue to play out, how do you view that and what challenges and opportunities does it present for people like you?
So, the fundamental thing is, and this is what I keep talking about a lot, is that I think COVID was the chief technology officer for many an organization, right? Because
wonderful. Wonderful. I haven't heard that before, viewers, so I'm glad you said that. So, CTO for all organizations.
Yeah, and many organizations who were dabbling with, just on the fringes of digital have had to plunge deep into digital, right? Because a lot of the consumers actually moved there, and in many ways, I think that adoption, which was marginal, has become mainstream.
Yeah, it's
right?
like being woken up at 4 a.m. and frog-marked into a cold shower, probably. Yeah?
Correct. So it's been a quantum leap, and that I think is what makes India so exciting, is that we haven't had the technological progression of the Western world, right? Which is technology upgradation. We have technology pole vaulted into the latest technology, right? So today the world is looking at us saying that, your payment mechanism is really world class, and we are kind of exporting that to the world. So the challenge that we have is really accelerating the whole digital understanding and knowledge within the organization, right? So how do you actually do that now at the same speed of the transformation that is in the real world that consumers have taken, adopted? So that's fundamentally the big change that is required. And at FCB, what we've done is, we've acquired the largest independent digital agency called Connect, and really integrated that agency with the mainline agency, and that's what we've created. I think the important piece here is that what I believe is it's no longer digital agency, traditional creative agency. It is the agency that does the creative work around the client's problems.
It's like a multiverse.
So those lines are only in our head. The lines don't exist in consumers' heads at all. It's not about above the line, below the line. It's really going through the line.
How do consumers, especially younger ones, Rohit, react and respond to digital advertising versus traditional advertising?
So, the interesting part of the question is, and we work with many of the traditional media houses as well, and I think that's a question that everybody is asking, is that, for younger people, is the digital world really the only thing that works? What I feel is that it's an opportunity missed by some of the traditional media houses, like the print media. I think with COVID, the opportunity to actually migrate to a new model where they were still reading, right? It's not that people are not reading, right? You're still reading, but you're reading on a whole different platform, right? Absolutely. So why wouldn't we adapt the medium to the medium, right? So for during COVID, I remember the Times of India was coming to us in a format that you couldn't read. It was the traditional newspaper in a PDF form came in, so you had to keep expanding every bit to read. And why would you want to do that, right? So the whole thing is that, is it not possible for a traditional print medium to actually go to a new medium where they are natural habitats of that new medium, versus forcing a new behavior in consumers? So I think the television content is still there. It's just viewed in a whole different format. Print is still there. It's just viewed in a whole different platform. So to understand what's the way that people are consuming this and changing to that, I think that's fundamentally the big thing. We're still talking to human beings, right? We're not talking to animals or not talking to robots, right? So we still want to engage, connect, enlighten, inspire people, right? So I feel that it's just a sense of what to do and where to do it that needs to change in a lot of the traditional thinking.
Rohit, during COVID, we saw peak digital consumption, and then other forms of consumption as people went out of home again started. All of that happened. The question here is, how far can digital grow in India as a part of the pie? I'm not asking for specific numbers, just your sense about, will digital become the dominant sort of medium from a media, creative, consumption, buying, selling point of view?
I feel that digital is already a dominant medium, right? So it is what India is consuming right now. So the first experience of digital for so many people, and we are not talking about the urban audiences, we're talking about in small towns, in rural areas, is the mobile phone, right? So the mobile phone actually is revolutionized digital. And in my head, that is the biggest thing that Jio has done, right? Basically, that whole thing of 1 year of giving everybody free data is that it's like the lion has tasted blood. After that, there was no pulling back. You couldn't pull back because everybody is now consuming data, whether it is movies or music or news or, weather channel, etc., etc. So the big transformation I think that mobile has done. So I feel that today that we've crossed that over to the other side, right? So and I'm finding increasingly client budgets also moving to digital. Digital is agencies are seeing the fastest growth, right? So that's where a lot of the client spends are happening because that's the interesting part of the business. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of our clients actually launched a whole new brand and product on digital only, and this was a client who actually used to only work with traditional media, and then suddenly they discovered that this is such an efficient way to do it. You target the right consumers, and that really works. So
and that brings me to the final question, that is it possible for a brand to be purely digital in the Indian context?
So it depends on
what segment
the brand is targeting, what's the ambition of the brand. Today there are so many brands on Instagram, right, that you're seeing, which are smaller brands.
Which even don't go to other social platforms. They're very selective about that.
Or they are on, available only on Amazon, these big aggregator platforms. So there's been a democratization of availability and that's no longer a limiting factor. So if, previously it was always so hard to distribute, get to the consumer directly. Today, getting to the consumer directly has become much easier and technology has enabled that, right? So it's become increasingly important for brands to really find what is the reason that consumers will buy them, right? What is their, even if differentiation is very hard now, right? So USPs is all old hat, right? It's really about being distinctive versus being differentiated. What is the distinctiveness that you have, and focus on the distinctiveness, which then makes you unique and loved by consumers.
I really loved that conversation, Rohit, and thank you very much for your time with us. That was Rohit Ohri talking about a whole lot of things that are happening in the media landscape in India. If you've been, thank you very much for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.